Good evening. I wanted to go over a few things that I thought would be real interesting to talk about since we're having some feedback on the experience with the Black Agenda in Atlanta. Now, as I stated in previous videos, Atlanta is a wonderful place. It's an epi-spot of good places to give forums and agendas, especially when it comes to the Black community and everything that concerns us. And MeetGX was innovative enough to give a conference down there specifically for the Black Agenda. And she has given conferences in the past, and I have been to one of those conferences. And they were very well done. But when you plan something, there's always some problems that come along with it. Now, there was a few people who commented that people who weren't at the Black Agenda have no business commenting on it or making any suggestions or anything. I beg to differ, because I went to one of the conferences, and I also am concerned about what goes on and hope that it goes well. And I don't mind giving my knowledge and references to help make things go better, because one person cannot think of everything, and they cannot solve all of the problems. And also, when you are given a conference, that conference is supposed to address the people who are interested, correct? So you're basically giving a conference for people that are interested in certain things, have special interests, and you would like to know what those special interests may be and what concerns the people. So why not have the people make suggestions? If things aren't working out, why not have the people suggest? Now, yes, I wasn't there and I didn't see everything. And even if I had been there, I wouldn't have known what was going on behind the scenes unless somebody publicly announced it. So yes, if you make a public announcement about it, everybody can make a comment on it. Just because you went there doesn't mean you're the only one who gets to have a comment on it. And from this individual, they didn't even stay anyway to the whole thing. And that's another thing. I spoke earlier about the free tickets that were given out. I think that is a wonderful thing, to give people free tickets. It's not so much as the amount of money that the ticket costs, it's just the thought involved. Yeah, I have an opportunity to go to this conference. I probably would have been able to buy it anyway, but just the fact that they would give out a free ticket is very meaningful. But I also pointed out, when you're making travel arrangements, that, these free tickets can be given out on a basis where you can still get the travel arrangements that are warranted, even if you had found out about it for the first time the conference was being given. I don't know if those free tickets were given out when the conference was given or was announced, or when right after they got all the money raised for it, or whatever the case may be. But anytime somebody gives out free tickets, you have to understand your other expenses may not be what they would be if you had already went and bought a ticket. I don't consider that a crime to make that statement. It's just true. Now, I looked into plane tickets. Even Yoshi has something to say about it. My son got home, so Yoshi likes to make an announcement. So, at any rate, I checked into the plane ticket reservations. Say I found out I got my ticket a week before the conference. That's not bad. A week before the conference. So I look into the tickets a week before the conference, and I find out that they would be $100 more than if I had made arrangements to go at the time that the conference was announced, which was 3 months in advance, right? So am I really saving any money? Yeah, I guess I'm saving money. But if I had went on ahead and bought my ticket before they offered free tickets, I would have still saved money. I would have saved $50 to $150 on tickets. There's a, say from one city to the next. I'm not going to say which cities, but one city definitely you can get a ticket. Let's say from New York. Okay, if you had planned it from New York 3 months in advance, you would pay under $200 for round trip tickets to Atlanta and nonstop flight. Right? Now that would save you, say the tickets are $50. You would pay your $50 for the ticket and less than $200 for a flight. Whereas if you had gotten your ticket a week before the conference, you would be paying $350 for a round trip ticket to go to Atlanta. That's $150. But you got a $50 ticket. Now that may not matter, because if you want to, you can write that off as a business expense or whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to get something free, make sure your other expenses are balanced on that. Because it's not really free if that's not the case. And there's nothing wrong with the tickets being given out. I'm not criticizing anyone for giving those tickets out. Let's be clear. Another thing is, anybody that says that somebody shouldn't have anything to say about the Black agenda, how do you know I didn't watch the Black agenda online? How do you know? I am one of the people that supported the Black agenda before that individual who said that even knew about the Black agenda. I went to one of them. So you don't own the rights to any comments about conferences just because you happen to go to one. And you didn't even stay the whole doggone conference in the first place. So you're going to be the one, you're going to be the critic. I'm not a critic, but I do make observations. And the people who were there, it was a very interesting subset of people, but I've heard other people make comments about the agenda, for better or for worse. And they have just as much right to an opinion. It doesn't have to be a fact, it's just an opinion. So that's one thing. And I don't want to beef over it. It just is what it is. And if we're going to have conferences like this, we want everybody to feel comfortable with going there and feeling that it's going to get quality work and quality people, and there's not a lot of undercurrent going on. Because when you hear about this out in the open, which was publicized, okay, mind you, that there was some disgruntlement of how everything was going, we should know what is expected. If you get a free ticket, you should know what's expected of you. You're going to go through the whole thing, or why don't you give the ticket to somebody else? Don't waste everybody else's time giving you stuff if you can't even show up anyway. And I was stating why people don't get to show up. And so if you're getting something like that and you can't make the arrangements to be there, give a heads up so someone else can have an opportunity. Now, another thing that I found interesting was that very people that go around saying you can't comment on something didn't even stay there but there themselves. But their reasoning is supposed to be warranted. How do you know that the very people that Michie X was complaining about couldn't have been you if you didn't do what you expected to be done? So I would look into that first before you criticize anybody about making comments about that agenda. If we can't talk about the agenda and think and ask for what's best for the community and what would be helpful, then what's the point in having the agenda in the first place? Why don't you let the people who gave the agenda decide who can comment and who can't? Instead of you, who went there and couldn't even stay there yourself and probably got help getting there in the first place. Now, another person said, oh, I spent all this money to go down there. Like I said, if you had planned your travel ahead of time, you would not have spent that kind of money. Now, if you had stayed in a hotel, that could raise up the bill a little bit. But if you could get a flight for major cities for under $200 to stay there, then you should be able to get a 3-night stay or a 2-night stay, probably at a reasonable rate at a reasonable hotel as well, unless you want to stay in a fancy hotel. And fancy hotels never give you a break. Okay, so don't even expect that if you want to stay in a lap of luxury. That's the agenda, or the people there have no control over that. You just have to accept whatever, the quality of care that you want to have when you get there, and the food. If you're going to go out there and have a lot of fancy food, then you're going to pay fancy food prices. So don't gripe about how much money you spent when you went down there, because you already, you know that if you're going to go anywhere, you're going to spend the money. Just that simple. Now, there were people who had their food paid for, and I'm sure it was very good and very up to standard, because nobody would give somebody McDonald's for free food. Let's just be real. If you're going to be a speaker somewhere, you're not going to be given McDonald's for your free food. They're going to give you reasonable, price food, probably the best they can afford, if not better. But since that person wasn't even included in that group, just don't worry about it. Now, there's another, there are other Black agendas that are going to be given throughout the country. And that's why I'm looking at this as a lesson learned. And I'm going to share this video because I think it's very prompt. And if people are offended because I'm just stating out things, then that's not the first time. Because I remember when I was giving speeches about pricing of different things, such as dog food, raw food, if you have a raw food agenda for animals, how you going to price those foods, but that you had people selling raw food from animals that they were scraping off of the butcher's floor, selling it to you for 3 times as much. I think people ought to know what to expect. The Black agenda was not an expensive agenda to go to, and it was one of the best deals you could ever get, and it was good quality material, I'm sure. I can attest to it. Now, speaking of good quality materials, if people care about their health, they should look into drinking other things besides coffee and teas that have a lot of caffeine in it and everything. Now, I'm afraid I'm addicted to caffeine, but I have Symbiotica's matcha green tea, and it's like a grass almost, but it's like a powder that is made with Japanese green tea that is very good for you. And I usually don't like matcha, but this stuff is tolerable. You don't even need sugar in it or anything. It's not sweetened. It's just plain. And they give it to you in this little package. But actually, you only need like a half a teaspoon to make a full cup, and it's absolutely wonderful. I also buy this called Okana, which is a combination of herbs. It's a coffee alternative, and I've done this before. And it has like an herbal taste to it because it's got cinnamon, lucuma, green yerba mate extract, reishi extract, lion's mane, which is mushrooms, ashwagandha extract, ginger, licorice, and ginseng. The licorice and ginseng definitely add to this taste, so it make it very tolerable. And you don't need sugar with this either. I also have used Rise Mushroom Coffee. Now this is like a $20 to $40 package. And actually, it tastes like, it's not good. I don't like the taste. But actually, it's tolerable once you get used to it. It really is. It's kind of cool. And it lasts a long time. And I even brought it to work and said everybody can try it. Nobody dare try it. They don't want to mess with this stuff. But it is good. It gives you a lift. And, you know, it's good. I mean, I think it's something you should check it out, you know. And I don't get any advertising props for this or anything. These are just products that I'm working with that help me keep my health, you know. I'm no spring chicken anymore, but I'm a healthy one. I'm going to tell you that much. I'm not on any medications. I have no high blood pressure. I'm not extremely overweight. I could stand to lose a few pounds, but I'm not extremely overweight. I'm not diabetic. I don't have arthritis. I'm not walking around with a cane or in a wheelchair. Anything wrong with that, but you know, I took good care of myself throughout my life. And it pays off. Symbiotica is one of the best companies out here as far as getting, like if you don't like to eat pills, they have liquid supplements that taste really, really good. Another company I like is Global Healing, which is cheaper than Symbiotica, really. It's not cheaper than them, but they have the same type of stuff where you can have body cleanses and you get multivitamins and everything, but it is expensive to buy the multivitamins. But I think it's worth every penny. And if you're not the type of person who wants to pop a bunch of pills to stay healthy, vitamins and supplements and all that, you can start with 1 or 2 supplements, and then you can just have, you know, have the rest, you know, whenever you get ready. They have charcoal, you know, they have vitamin BHT, vitamin B6, all these different ones that you can take when you get ready. And it's for heart health, it's for your blood work, all that. Iron, too, is important for ladies in particular, so they don't get anemic. But more often than not, women do very well if they just eat right, you know. So those are the things that I'm trying. You keep your health healthy, you have a healthy state of mind as well. So thank you for listening. I hope these tips helped you, and I'm looking forward to when I can attend the next Black Agenda myself, because that company, the people that work in that group and that team, they're an excellent team. And the main ones are Michi X, Dr. Shauna, Q Butter. There's a few other people in there that have gone every single year with that Black Agenda, and they have done excellent work despite of the challenges that they had, either behind the scenes or up front. And I have met some good people. Michael Ihimtop was at the Black Agenda that I was at, and he is a really good guy. I mean, I bought his books and like his perspective and everything. He's really cool. And I met Dr. Shauna. I met Q Butter. I met all the major people there, and they were excellent people as references. And don't let the rotten apples spoil the bunch. The people who want to go there and act like they're really contributing something when they're not. You know, the people who, they're just supposed to be an audience like everybody else. So stay in the audience, make your comments from your perspective, and leave everybody, and don't determine who else can have a point of view, because you don't own the conference. And if they didn't want anybody having any feedback about it, they would have never exposed the conference. They wouldn't have even offered streaming for it. or anything like that. So just keep that in mind, because nobody owns a public forum. Okay, if it's public, it's public. That's all there is to it. So have a good evening. I'll be looking forward to speaking with everybody again.